Hey guys, welcome back to Investor Gossip. My name is Anissa. You're watching part 3 of our decentralized finance series, okay? So we are slowly starting to put the pieces together to this puzzle, and it's coming together. It's coming together. I hope you guys are able to kind of piece it together. If you watch part 1 and part 2, part 1 we talked about staking. Part 2 we talked about what exactly decentralized finance is. This is our third part. We're going to talk about what yield farming is. Now, yield farming is very, very similar to staking. The only difference is that yield farming is generally done on decentralized platforms, okay? So a few examples of decentralized platforms are going to be, well, tokens rather, are going to be Uniswap, Compound, MakerDAO, VVS Finance. I'm going to tell you guys a brief story about my VVS Finance experience, good and bad. And then we're going to wrap it up. We're going to do a part 4 where we're going to kind of put everything together, and we're going to talk about different exit strategies, because basically all of the techniques that I discussed in the prior videos, well, the 2 topics that I discussed in the prior videos and what we're going to discuss today, these can all be put together and these can be your exit strategies, okay? Now, yield farming is extremely similar to staking. The only difference is with staking, you only have one variable. With yield farming, there are 2 variables, okay? So yield farming is basically loaning or staking your assets onto a platform in order to receive either transaction fees or rewards in return for placing your assets there, okay? Like I said, there are 2 variables that makes it different from staking. So it can be a little bit riskier. Now, what makes it riskier is you have to monitor the asset to make sure that it does not fall in value. And also you have to monitor the asset because you have to look at what the rewards and what the returns are, okay? So now I'm going to insert my little story that I had with VVS Finance. Now, VVS Finance can be found on crypto.com DeFi wallet. They just rolled it out maybe about, I want to say about 6 weeks to a couple months ago. Now, when they initially rolled this out, they rolled it out and the returns were ginormous. I mean, they were astronomical. They were huge. Okay. So I initially got in then. Okay. Now I am invested on several different platforms and several different projects. I got into VVS Finance and I kind of stopped watching it. I kind of stopped paying attention to the market. I stopped kind of going into the DeFi wallet. It's an amazing, amazing platform. It just got away from me. The holidays was going on. A lot was going on. Okay. I got away from it. I bought some tokens and I put them into their liquidity pool. Now, what happened was the returns, not only did the value of the asset fall, but the returns started falling as well. Okay. And that is what you don't want to happen, because actually when that happens, you are losing money and you're basically waiting around for the asset to go back up in value, which we never know when that is. But what is not going to go back up is the rewards. They're never going to say, hey, we started you off at 900%. Right now we're giving you 200%, but eventually we're going to go back up to 900%. So it's never going to go back up to that amount. So if you aren't paying attention to the market and your assets, you can possibly lose money. And that is not what we want. We don't want to lose money, because over here at Investor Gossip, our specialty is making money. Okay. So that is something that you have to be very, very mindful of, because like I said, it can be very, very risky. Now, when you decide to participate and add your tokens, all of this is done through smart contracts and password encryption, okay? When you add your tokens to the liquidity pool and become a liquidity provider, you are now earning rewards on letting your money sit there, but you're also receiving a say-so in the governance protocol. In layman's terms, you have a say-so in certain processes and procedures that happen. You basically can say, if something comes up and it gives the liquidity providers an opportunity to vote on it, you can vote and say, hey, I don't want that to happen. And yes, I want that to happen. In a previous video, I gave the example of Bank of America. Now, when you put $1,000 into a Bank of America, you have an account with Bank of America. If Bank of America says, hey, we're no longer doing NSF charges at $35, $40 or however much they are, we're going to now start doing them at $50. You have no say-so in their everyday business processes. You have no say-so in that. You just have to say, okay, or you can take your money out of that bank and go put it into another bank, okay? With decentralized finance and yield farming, since you're given that governance token, you have a say-so in the governance protocols. You have a say-so in how things are run, because what happens is when the developers start these projects up, they are passed off to the community and the robots or the computers to run, okay? So their hands are no longer in the pot. But since they are the ones who started the project, they do have the ability to run off with your bag. Now, that's the downside to it. They can technically run off with your bag. Now, that does not happen as much with developers who kind of have a name for themselves. They've worked at these big companies, these tech companies. They come from that industry. It comes when you have these decentralized finance platforms that no one's ever heard of, no one's really rocking with them, all that stuff. Those are the ones that kind of, have run off with people's money, but it's not prevalent like that. Now, another thing that makes them extremely risky is that, again, like I said, when you first get into yield farming on whatever platform you're on, and it's a new project, the returns are going to be really, really high. So like me, when I got into VVS Finance, I think they were giving out like 1,300%, because I got in like the first week when they released it. So I don't remember how much it was, because I'm in this crypto world so deep at this point. I'm gonna be honest with you all. It was extremely high return. So I was like, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, of course I'm gonna put my money in. But I was new to yield farming and I did not know a lot about it. So I stopped paying attention. And that was the worst thing I could have done, because when I stopped paying attention, what happened was the price of the token went down, but also the returns went down. So basically everybody else is taking profit, but since I wasn't paying attention, I was left holding the bag, and I end up losing money on that play. You live and you learn. I mean, I'm not tripping, of course I would have liked to have had the money, but you live and you learn, and that's something that I learned, okay? So I'm not mad, because it was a lesson. Sometimes you got to pay for your lessons. And when you're in cryptocurrency, you're going to have to learn fast. And the best way to learn is to put money in the game. It's no different than playing poker or learning how to play chess. You can sit here and watch somebody play chess, watch somebody play poker all day. You can even look at a YouTube video. You can read books on it. But until you actually sit down and play the game, you're not going to learn, okay? So that was my learning experience with yield farming. Again, this is another strategy. You may be asking, well, should I get involved? You may still be on the fence whether you should get involved or not. Yield farming can be extremely profitable. Like I said, if you are early onto a project and the returns are extremely high, I would say yes, jump in, but pay close attention daily to what is going on with those funds. That's not something that you set and forget. You have to pay attention to that, okay? Now, if this project has been around for a couple weeks, couple months, and the returns are not that high, and you don't have a lot of money to invest, I would say no, do not get involved. But if you think you can see a return pretty fast, or if you believe in the project enough, definitely get involved. One good thing about yield farming too is that you have the ability to kind of move your money around to different farms depending on what they say is, depending on what they're giving back. Okay, so that's another technique that you can kind of use to maneuver around and get the most return on your money. Okay, like let's just say if this project is over here giving 300% back on your money, and 2 weeks later it's dropped all the way down to 170%. That's still very, very good. But if you don't have a lot of money, you won't really see the maximum returns unless you let that money sit in there for a year. Now, if it's 170% now, in a year's time, it can drop all the way down to like, I don't know, 20% or something like that, which is still good. But again, if you do not have a lot of money, and over here at Investor Gossip, we help people who are starting out in the beginning who do not have a lot of funds. Okay, if you have a lot of funds, 20% that's pretty good still. Okay, but again, like I said, it would take you a year to earn that 20% because it is APR. That is all that I had to say about yield farming. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any other questions about yield farming, please drop them down below in the comment box and I will respond as soon as I possibly can. Do not forget to thumbs up this video if you found this video helpful, and consider subscribing if you would like to see more content like this. We have one more video to go. In part 4, we're just going to put everything together so that you can have a better understanding of what decentralized finance is, how to invest in decentralized finance platforms, and how to maneuver and earn passive income. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching.